Welcome to design 15 of our quilting tutorials using kinship blocks. I have here blocks 57 to 60. So we are on the second last tutorial in this series, and I've been using scraps and making a dent in my scrap bucket. So our design today again disregards the piecing of the quilt, and we are going to create a fun design that you can use in these blocks or any other quilt. So I'm just going to move this aside so that you can see my fabric, and I'll just zoom in slightly so you can see. Now our design today I'm going to call Cloud Flower. So if we had our square block, we've got our sashing in between, and then I'm going to draw a rectangle here. So this represents my blocks, just making sure I'm in screen for you. So for each of these it does require a start and a stop, and I'll show you the way we can cover our entire block. So if we start in the center, so we don't need much marking for this one at all, absolutely none. And we're going to start with curves and then build on those all the way around. So we did curves in an earlier video, and this is using them a different way. Now at some point you're going to get to the point where you're quite close. You can either try and sneak past, but we are going to get to the point where we hit the side. Now we can either travel. What I will probably do here is travel this way and fill that corner, travel down here and fill this corner, along the bottom, fill that corner, and this one I may have an extra one. Then I would come up here, sneak my way along the sashing. Actually, probably I wouldn't. I would end off here or stitch off to the side so that I don't have an end right here. With the rectangle, it's a little bit different, so I'm just making sure I'm still in screen. I am going to start not in the middle because I don't want to have to work both sides of the quilt. I'm going to start maybe up the top, and we start the same. Get to here, I might have to travel down here. Now it just depends on where you get to in your quilt. So once we've done that, so it's almost like a curving echo. We're echoing around. Then we get to here, we travel down the side here, and we echo again. Now one thing I will say is try not to have everything same. In that, what I would avoid is having this effect where you've got the same curves. It looks more organic if you've got your curves ending and starting not in line but offset. That it just looks a little bit, it's less noticeable if you don't have it in line, if you purposely don't have it in line, than if you have a mistake or you just can't manage it. Also, once you're going and getting bigger, you don't want your curves to be really big so that you can get around them. It's better to have two. It will be easier to quilt. You end up with a more organic result, and I think it looks much better on your quilt. So with that, there's actually very little marking to do. I can zoom back out again. There's very little marking to do on our quilt. Where would I start? Basically in the middle. So you can start with a cross here. Maybe we'd start Maybe not in the middle of that one, but we could, certainly could. We'll see how it goes. But basically we're just starting somewhere in the middle of each of the blocks. Now when you get, if I start at the top of this one or higher up in the block, do I do the same on this one or do I go opposite? That's up to you to decide. So I think I'm going to start opposite. I'm not going to start as far up as that one. I think I need to go about here. So I will demonstrate this on the practice blocks, and then I'll do the fast on these ones so you can see how I'm doing it. So this is Cloud Flower, and hopefully it's a whole heap of fun. Alright, starting off with block 57. I've done my needle down, I've done my locking stitches, and my needle is in the down position. So keeping my hands going quite slowly and steady, and my machine going faster. So these first curves might be a little bit deeper. And I'm there, I'm going to stop and get rid of these threads so they're out of my way. One of them I've managed to stitch down, so there we go. Just snip one side of it and it will come free. And you'll notice with this I'm not turning my work, but I will stop and reposition my hands. So I'm actually paying very little attention to the previous row. This one here, you notice I didn't pause quite long enough in the base of that curve. And because I didn't pause, I lost my point. So the smoother you can make your hands move in that curve creating fashion, then the smoother your curves will be. So when you get further out, you may find you can only do a couple of curves before you need to stop and reposition your hands. Now I could probably go down here, but I'm not going to because I want to go back along here, and I'm going to complete that portion there, and I think my bobbin has just run out. Back in a sec. So I have finished off that curve, and we're going to sneak down this side seam. Put my needle in the down position and Right, so I've done that corner. And let's finish that corner as well. If you want to, you can go back and ditch the corners. All right, let's finish off that corner as well, remembering that this is my practice piece, so it's very contrast in thread. Actually, we don't need to go across there. We just need to finish the block. Block 58. Now with this one, I sort of want my bulk to start on this side because it's a rectangular block. So I'm actually going to put my threads that side, and I'm going to start the other way. Get rid of those threads out of the corner, because sometimes you can get them caught up in the hopping foot and then they get in the way and it's just rather annoying. I'm actually going to get rid of this safety pin in the corner as well, so the back of my foot doesn't get caught on it. So now we're at the point where we're starting to do the echo down the remainder of the block. So we're going to travel down the side here a little bit. Room for one more. All right, I'll go into the other blocks. Once again, let's get rid of these threads out of the way. They're just asking for trouble. Now let's see if we can try it and make it a little bit bigger. The advantage of making it bigger, want to get your quilting done faster. Oh, that point was not very good. This is the way to do it. But if you want a looser design, then making it larger is going to be the key. Now let's see if I can stitch backwards in a straight line with a free motion foot. I get rid of this safety pin. So there we have the cloud flower, but much bigger. So I'll put them both on screen for you in a short minute. Let's move on to the next block. Okay, slight mishap with the filming. You can see I started here with block 57 and our design is it's tighter than the other block where I did the cloud flower a lot looser. So density is a way that you can change up your quilting. So these two are a similar density, and you can see these bottom two are also a similar density. So it depends on what you like as far as your quilting as to how dense you'd like to make it. I quite like the effect, and this is a great design for adding texture. We're not really adding a feature, we're adding texture. So that across all of your blocks, or a whole quilt, could actually be quite cool. All right, I'm going to go in and do my colored blocks. So that looks rather subtle, doesn't it? It's much more noticeable on this block here, and something I would encourage you to avoid. So I started a bit narrower, or a bit very curvy with the shape, and then sometimes as you get out further it can become less of a curve. Now it will to some degree, but try not to have it become too flat. You still want a nice curve, you don't want to flatten that curve too much. Now this one here, I actually stopped here, so I went around and I didn't fill the corners, and I don't mind that. Not sure. Anyway, it's a way of varying the design, and let's see it on that one. I will do some close-up photos, and here is the back. There you go. A bit of side light is always good to show off some quilting, so you can see the texture that creates on the back of this piece. So that's the cloud flower. There you go, you can see it when it's just held differently. I hope you have fun with this one, and don't forget that you can change up the design by the density. Excuse me, I was about to sneeze. And yeah, that can certainly change how it looks. All right, have fun, happy quilting.